So, you have a new season of Rent a Really Bad Idea for me? Yes, sir, I do. And the thing about this season is that we're gonna start off with like a flash forward, right? To the last episode, I'm assuming, which will inevitably end on a cliffhanger of the very thing we were teasing the whole season. And exactly, and it seemed like Kazuya is going to, confess to Mizuhara, right? And is he? We'll have to wait 12 episodes and see, we will. Oh, dang it, what happens in the non-flash forward sections of the season? Well, we get to see Ruka and a Yukato. Oh, does that mean we're gonna go to a summer festival? No, she wanted to go on a trip with Kazuya, and Kazuya's like, you know what, instead of a trip, let's go to the hot springs like 5 minutes away from my place instead. I tried that once. Doesn't tend to work if the girl knows you have money, though. Okay, then, and then Mizuhara's gonna ask Kazuya out for coffee, right? Oh, Mizuhara taking initiative. What's the occasion? She gives Kazuya just a massive amount of money, which he immediately refuses. What? On at least 2 levels? Not important. The point is, Kazuya is gonna ask Mizuhara out to lunch, though. Okay, cool. What happens there? Well, we get to see Mizuhara day drinking, for those who wanted to see that. And what's the significance of that to the plot? Absolutely nothing. At what point are characters gonna start making decisions that actually influence the plot? Not for a while, but here's one. Kazuya and Mizuhara, they're gonna go to a fancy party in Daikanyama to celebrate the success of their movie, right? Wait, isn't that kind of like a huge deal? Yeah, and there's all these actors and producers there, but Kazuya's really only focused on the one dude who's hosting the party because, he doesn't like him at all. Really seems like he should have tried to network with some people and establish some connections, perhaps for a future project. Well, he doesn't, so instead he asks Mizuhara if she would ever consider having a boyfriend, and she says, yeah. Was she going to answer no? Well, seeing as this is a rom-com, not a chance, no. Okay, what happens next? Well, Kazuya decides that he's finally gonna ask Mizuhara out after 3 seasons of shamelessly pining after her. And does he? Well, it's not that simple, see. He has to find the right time, the right place, and it's gotta be in an episode whose number is greater than 10. What? Never mind, what happens after that? Well, Kazuya's decided to ask Mizuhara out, so he figures it's only right that he breaks off the trial with Ruka. Wait, that's still going? Apparently so. Yikes, sounds like it'll be difficult for Ruka to be in the show now. Actually, super simple, barely an annoyance. Oh, really? Yeah, she just refuses to accept the breakup. Wait, you can do that? Apparently. Huh. Good to know. And then Kazuya's gonna learn that Mami has infiltrated his grandmother, right? Oh, ew. His grandmother's sake company, to which Kazuya is actually the heir. Wait, so this guy not only made a movie, but is also the heir to a sake company? It sure seems that way. And then Kazuya's also gonna learn that his grandmother loves him and only wishes him happiness. Was that ever up in the air? Apparently, and so then Mami's gonna run into Mizuhara at the college and ask her out for a donut. What's with the ask in quotation marks? Well, it's Mami, so it's less of an ask and more like, come with me now or dire consequences will follow. Yikes. Oh, but to cheer you up, there's gonna be a scene of SUMI running out of the donut shop with a big old smile on her face. Oh, her! Yeah, what's she up to this season? Nothing. What? Yeah, neither her or Minnie are in the season at all. Still want to advertise it like they are main characters, though? You bet, and so the Mami's gonna try to convince Mizuhara that Kazuya is actually a stalker who's out to kill women. Wow, that went from 0 to 100,000 really quick. Yeah, and because Mizuhara has actually met Kazuya, she realizes that, that is not the case. Good. And so then Kazuya's grandmother's gonna show up and tell them that they're all invited to a Hawaiian's resort for a few days. Wait, who's everyone? Well, there's Kazuya, Mizuhara, also Ruka by virtue of being in the room at the time, but there's a problem. And what's that? Ruka's gonna throw a used condom wrapper at Mizuhara's feet after definitely breaking and entering into her apartment. Wait, why used in quotation marks? Well, because, she's trying to give the impression that stuff happened with her and Kazuya, right? But it's a complete lie, and she knows it, Kazuya would know it, and, Mizuhara also definitely knows it. Well, if everyone knows it's a lie, then why bother? So that we can have a good cliffhanger for, 1 episode. I like it. And then everyone's going on the trip, right? We're gonna meet, all the side characters coming out of the woodworks. Oh, who we got exactly? Well, we've got Kazuya's friends, who you probably can't name. I definitely cannot. And Kazuya's parents, who I'm sure you thought might not even exist at this point. I have thought that occasionally for sure. And then, of course, there's Kazuya, his grandmother, Mizuhara, Ruka, and Mami. Whoa, Mami's there? Exactly, she wormed her way into the main storyline again. How did she manage that? By doing it. Ooh, that scheming gal. And then everyone's gonna hit the pool, right? Does that mean swimsuits? Yeah, and all the guys are gonna be peeping underwater to the point where they're actually having an intelligent conversation under there. Wait, do these guys have, magical powers or something? For this one scene, yes. And so then Kazuya and Mizuhara, they're gonna go down the water slide and, the couples flow. The thing is, Mizuhara's gonna lose her top on the way down, though. Oh no, what's she gonna do? Well, have Kazuya find it and just immediately put it back on with 10 times more knots. Wait, so if that's just resolved immediately, then what's the point of it? So that we can have a cliffhanger ending for 1 episode. And then anyway, Kazuya's gonna have a heart-to-heart with Mami, right? A heart-to-heart? Okay, less of a heart-to-heart and more like a heart-to-demon who wants to eat your soul. The point is they're gonna talk. What about? About how Mami only wants Kazuya to be happy. Ah, so she lied. A lot, yeah, and since she knows about the rental girlfriend thing, she also wants Kazuya to come clean to his grandmother. Wait, how did she find out? Off-screen between seasons, but then it's time for everyone to sleep, right? And Kazuya and Mizuhara, they have their own room. Ooh. Which Ruka promptly invades. Ooh. To stop what you're imagining from happening. Ooh, wait, what? And Mizuhara's gonna have a heart-to-heart heart-to-heart with Kazuya's mom, who is the character in the story now, and she's gonna tell her all about how she got married at this very resort. Okay, that is sweet. How is that significant to anything that's happening right now, though? Because it turns out that Mizuhara got the family engagement ring from Kazuya's grandmother on the day they met. Yikes, that's a little much for a first encounter. Apparently not, because Mizuhara decides to keep the ring and give Kazuya's mother, you know, a cheap little plastic one. That's probably the last thing Mami should hear them talk about. Which is exactly why she was eavesdropping on the whole conversation. Oh, dang it. And so the Mami's gonna confront Mizuhara in the bathroom and demand that she return the ring. And I'm assuming Mizuhara will say something like, you know, screw off, or this is my ring now, or you had your chances of the cotillion, you. Well, no, Mami just gives her, like, until the end of the day, or when she gets bored, whichever happens first, to, you know, give her an answer. Or what? Bad things, I assume, but anyway, Kazuya's grandmother's gonna tell Kazuya all about how she's very, very thankful towards him, and that gives Kazuya the guts to finally decide he's gonna confess. And this time he does, right? Well, he's gonna do the classic confession run, right? A classic for sure. And he's gonna grab her hand when she tries to run away from him. A minor form of assault, check. And then just as he starts to say something, she pulls away and runs very, very far away very fast. People do tend to do that if you grab them by the arm when they're actively trying to run away from you. True, but in this case, it turns out she was actually running towards Mami, who has finally decided that she's bored and ready to tell Kazuya's grandmother everything. Well, why didn't she just tell Kazuya that? For suspense? Ooh, that's good. Exactly, and so then we're gonna have a cliffhanger ending where Mami's gonna offer to rent Mizuhara out so that she's no longer implicated for all of Kazuya's non-crimes. And does she take the money? You just have to tune into the next part of the season to find that out. Oh, so we're following the footsteps of Harry Potter and Twilight and the Hunger Games and doing a part 1, part 2 kind of thing? It does seem that way, although I do hope we don't lose any of our main cast along the way. Yeah, I mean, could you imagine if, say, Kazuya's voice actor dropped the role due to scheduling conflicts? Can you imagine? Hey guys, Anime Pitch Me here. Hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, then I suggest you click over here for some more related content, I hope. Anyway, see you in the next one.